Another live session from Encoder Fashion, and I want to apologize. First of all, I have a little sore throat and I'm probably not gonna finish the entire 1 hour, but we're going to continue working on a pattern drafting method that I use the traditional drafting pattern formula that I have been using for many years, and this formula right now is written right here on the screen. I also have these images that I will show you, and this is the images that I will promise Annie I will post them and send you the links as soon as I'm finished. I excuse me. I have to drink a little bit of honey with tea and lemon juice. It's actually really calming my throat. By the way, guys, it's like my whole family is having this like awfully cold. We have like sore throat and cough. It's awful. It's been happening like for 3 days now, and I hope it's getting better so I can continue working. I I have been working on this formula, not the formula itself. The formula itself I already know the formula, but put together in a way that easy for you to understand. And to me, it's like one of those that I believe it's great to have knowledge on what you're doing. If you can't disseminate that information to, let's say, a viewer, in this case for me, is the information no use. So I will do my best to provide you the information that when you look at the information, you have this like a connection or this click moment, because it's happened to me a lot. So give me a second. So first of all, guys, when I was in college, I ran into many professor, and sometimes professors know what they're doing, but for me, I don't have the relationship with the professor or the way they teach. It's felt like I'm not really relate to it somehow. But some professor, when I watch or learn from them, I feel like I just have the connection and allow me to learn better. So my ideal here to provide you with the information from images to writing. So right here the images are, and I also put this into the PDF book too, guys. So not only have the tutorial but also have the PDF pamphlet in the future with this drafting method. And this is, guys, only the beginning of making a basic top, okay? Because I will later on make tutorial on drafting a button-up shirt, blazer, drafting pattern, and guys, it actually simpler than you think. And do some, even though the formula we have some math and calculation, but it's so basic math like you know and you use everyday life. It's nothing complicated. It's like, the bus circumference, for example, you divide by 4, and normally bus circumference, like for example my bus circumference roughly 98 to maybe 102, which divide by 4, then you would divide by 2, blah blah blah. It's one of those things that very simple that for us to do. And now let me get back to the formula. So right here I have the formula and the measurement. Once again, I use this formula and this measurement to draft basic shirt, to draft button up shirt, to draft a blazer, to draft even a dress. So this work really well. And I'm going to get to CLO and continue from where we left off last week. And I hope you guys enjoy this session, and if you have any question, please leave a comment below the video, I promise. Okay, first of all, if you guys are with me for a while, I mentioned that when you leave a comment, leave it in the video description so I can read it later. But if you leave in the chart box, I can't really read in the chart, but you can use the emoji. Like if you are part of the members of this Encoder Fashion Club, you get to use your custom emoji, which is kind of cute. I create those, and also you got to watch the entire course without advertisement on Encoder Fashion, and that course is $4.99. And now let's get back to CLO. Okay, there we go. By the way, guys, I will continue working and try to speak less because my throat is a little irritating. Sorry. Okay, so let's get to it. So this is where we left off, okay? We are going to now sew this pattern and then place it onto the avatar, or we can place it first, vice versa. How about let's place it first? We'll go over here to the display menu and then click on one, and we want to select this show arrangement points, and then I'm going to click one on the front pattern here, and then place the mouse over there and then click one right there to place. So if you look at closely here, I click on the center one. If you look from top here, you see two, and then two down here. If you click right here, your pattern place right onto the avatar, okay? It's more like a perfect center point. The same right here with sleeve. If I look at on the sleeve right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to place roughly on the second one or third one right here. So I'm going to click on the sleeve and hover the mouse over there, and you can see right there, if I click one right here, kind of low here, click over here. So this is the second one from the top, like that. And right here, this is the back pattern, and I'm going to click one right here. So another thing I want to point out, I have to admit, it still confuses many of us about the pattern. So when we place this pattern right here, and the pattern look toward me, so right here, this pattern right now, it's the left side pattern of a human figure, okay? Although it is on my right because I'm looking at it on my right, but when we talking about as a pattern maker, we have to understand, we want to talk about the avatar right here, look forward, okay? So I got that question before, and we got confused between left or right of the pattern, which is confusing. But remember this is the correct reading for many pattern makers. Again, if you are new, it is quite confusing. So right here, when we set the left side of the pattern, we meant the left side of the pattern, and we look at the pattern and the avatar from the back, okay? So that is the left side. And if we rotate the avatar toward Earth, it looks like on the right side, but that is incorrect. The pattern right now are the left side. I'm talking about this because yeah, we have so much trouble with understanding the left or right side, and it become an issue if when we draft a top with button or with certain zipper, and we want the button or buttonhole to stay either on the left or on the right, and we want that correctly, because if it's incorrect, it's not cool, it's difficult, or it's take a lot of time to get back and try to fix it. All right, so let's get back to our pattern, and now I'm going to hide this arrangement point here. Okay, you can use shortcut key S and then letter F to hide it, and then I'm going to simply kind of rotate the avatar a little, and we want this not like too snug into the avatar, kind of out a little and to the center. Now we can actually sew the pattern. So I will use this segment sewing tool for now, and click one right here. Segment sewing tool is awesome when you sew one section by one section. For example, right here, the sleeve seam and the shoulder. Right there, I click one right here and then hover the mouse to the right, click one right here. So that is perfect for that kind of sewing. One segment at a time. And sleeve, you have two options. Either you want to sew from here or sew from here. However though guys, I always choose to sew from here, like almost always, unless you got twisted and you untangle, you have to delete it and reverse it somehow. But for the most part, I would recommend sew it in the 2D because it's easier. And I will use this tool here, free sewing tool, and click one right here to start, and just hover the mouse over to the right, come down here, click one to end. And this is important, we want to press on shift, then click right here to continue, click one again to end, still pressing on shift, click right here, hover the mouse down here, then click once again. Now I can release the shift. So somehow it's not happening because sometimes we release the shift key too early and we only sew like 3 parts or like 2 parts, like this sleeve to the front or to the back, vice versa. You can simply delete the sewing, like use this edit sewing tool here to click on that sewing, and then you can delete and then resew it, or or you can command or control Z, but let resew it. It actually is quite easy when we learn the tool, but before we learn the tool, man, it's so confusing and I got messed up all the time. Like, another thing is with CLO, it not only CLO guys, with other 3D software, the way it's designed, they want you to use specific tool for specific job. So that means it is awesome when you know all the tools, but when you don't know all the tool, it's complicated because you can't use certain tool to do certain job. You have to know that tool to do certain job. So for example, we are going to sew this with these free sewing tools again, and along the way, no worry guys, it's gonna be fun because this is live session. I'm not just like speed up like tutorial. I want to save you guys time, and I just speed up, and I don't want you guys feel like, oh, just drag and slow you down. Okay, all right, so now we finished sewing this. Next we're gonna make a copy. Okay. So to make a copy again, we will use the transform pattern tool. My case selects all the patterns, right click, and we want to select symmetric pattern with sewing. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in a little and press on shift and click one to place the pattern. As you can see right here, when we place the pattern, now the pattern been sewn and placed onto the avatar. Now we're gonna sew the back pattern, use the segment sewing tool, and then we also sew the front pattern, and then I'm going to strengthen the pattern first, And let's check if we need to sew anything out. It looks pretty good. I'm going to press on number 2 here, and then let's simulate this top. And look at that, guy. It actually pretty awesome. Oh, so I was gonna explain this in the book or in the PDF book, okay, about this part. So last week we dragged this sleeve from measurement, this part right here, this part right here. Let me show you the formula a little so I can explain that better. So when we drag this sleeve, okay, so this is the number that we measure the front and back pattern armholes. So in this tutorial or in this measurement, I measure it and the armhole total is 45.08. So this number could change, okay? And if your number is different, no worry, it's still correct. All we worried about here is the formula, okay? So the formula here, we want to divide by 2 this whole number here, and we have to do it in order, okay? If you instead of divide by 2 and subtract 4, if you do subtract 4 and divide by 2, it's all incorrect. So why I have the formula? Because it is important to follow exactly like the formula. The formula allows you to drag the sleeve without have to do a bunch of trial and error. So why I'm saying that? Because before I came up with the formula, I do trial and error, okay? Trial and error, I measure the sleeve, draft it, and give it different number. Let's say instead of give it exact number, let's say in this case 45 divided by 2, subtract, and then I get the result. Before, I would just give it, let's say 18, 19 for the bicep circumference, or 21, and then I start drafting until I get the correct number. However, though, I came up with the formula. The formula allows you to plug the number in like algebra, except easier. So you can actually use that formula to draft the sleeve. And by the way, guys, I will publish tutorial really soon. This tutorial is pretty awesome, I have to admit. I've been working on it for roughly 2 weeks, and I hope to post not only the tutorial but also the entire blogs and maybe the PDF books too. So I will keep my finger crossed on that, okay? Alright, now get back to that. So the formula, to recap, be sure to do it in order. Divide this number by 2 minus 4, and this number could vary. It's not the same exact 45.08. However, though, it can't be like 10 centimeter different. It only roughly right here in decimal. So if in decimal, you're okay. Let's say instead of 45.08, could be 45.8 or 45.9, and that's okay, because where it depends on how much you curve this armhole, front or back. Slightly different, it's okay, because it doesn't have to be exact, okay? Alright, now let's get back to clothes, and hopefully I'm not confusing you. So okay, so now we are going to right here. We want to extend the hem, because we are going to turn the top into more like a realistic top, okay? So first of all, let's remove this point. We don't need it. and we want to extend this, and we want to also create facing for the front and back next. To do so, first of all, let me use this edit pattern tool, click right here, and then press on shift, click right here and right here. I'm going to right click and then select offset pattern outline, and I'm going to type in here 3 centimeter, and then we want to turn on this create internal line box and perpendicular perfect default corner is awesome, then click on OK. Next we want to simply click right here and then right here, right click, and this time we want to select offset as internal line, and I'm going to change that to 6 centimeter and let uncheck this extended box and then click on OK. Alright. Okay, so now I'm going to fold this hem, okay? Let me expand this 3D window. To fold the hem, first I want to select this display menu and we want to click on show this internal line, and we are going to use this fold arrangement tool. Click on it to select and then click on this center line, and I'm going to click and then drag it up, and then come over here to this property editor, and we want to slide this fold angle to 0 and then turn on this fold rendering, okay? And then I'm going to simply repeat the step with the back pattern. Click one right there, slide it up, not too far, just like that, and then turn on, slide this fold angle back right here to 0 and then turn on this fold rendering box. We also want to do with the sleeve as well. Simply click on that center right there and then drag it up. After that, I'm going to slide that fold angle to 0 and then turn on this fold rendering box. Okay. Next, let's simulate. Okay, let's stop the simulation, and I'm going to hide the avatar for now. Now it is time to sew this pattern. I will use this segment sewing tool. We want to sew this line together. So simply like we sewing our hem in a real life, right? We sew from here to here, except we don't really sew on, but we sew too. Okay, and now we're going to update this sewing tool right there. Let's simulate one more time to see how the pattern affects, and stop the simulation. And we want to sew this. Simply use this tool right here, edit sewing tool. We're going to adjust this sewing, okay? And be careful, I just made a mistake here. So instead of slide just a point, I slide the entire sewing. So let's click on that point right there and then slide up. Only the point. Alright, and also we want to do the sleeve too. I did the same thing. And we also want to do here the back. We can also use a segment sewing tool to sew as well, but I like to just slide it down. And once again, I just make a mistake. Click and drag it up. Sorry guys if I don't speak too loud today, it's because my throat is hurt, and I will promise, or at least try my best to finish this top today, okay? Because this is a project that we did last week. And let's simulate one more time and see if anything else that we need to do. So let's switch the tool to the select/move tool, and that is look pretty good, guys. And let's unstrengthen too. So this is the top. Actually guys, this pattern is pretty awesome. Let's turn on the avatar, and I'm going to actually turn off or hide this internal line right there, so we get to see the top a little bit better. Alright, so next we want to create facing for this top. Okay, so to create facing, I'm going to first create internal line here, click one to start, and then simply come over here, click right here too, and then right click, and I'm going to create offset as internal line, and then I'm going to change the value to 3 centimeter and check this extend box. Okay, then click on OK. After that, while this line is selected, I'm going to simply either turn this into pattern. I'm going to do that, or I can simply change the tool to the transform pattern tool. My key selects this pattern, press on shift, and then click this pattern. We want to select all the front and back pattern, and then right click. We want to select right here, layer clone under. Okay, and I'm going to press on shift and then click one to place the pattern. And while these patterns are selected, right click, I'm going to remove link editing. Okay, and then I also want to remove the sewing too. We don't need this sewing. Simply press delete or backspace on the keyboard. Then I'm going to now link these patterns together. Right click and then select, come over here. We want to apply the link onto that. So right here, symmetric pattern with sewing. So we have two options. Either we select this, but we don't because this is not apply link. We want to select this one under apply link editing. Okay, so we have some issue here. Somehow we can't really apply this link. So I'm going to try Command or Control plus letter Z. And let's see if something that we do that we can change. No, so some pattern cannot be. Alright, so if it can't, what I'm gonna do here, I'm going to simply remove that pattern and then try again. Click on that pattern, that pattern, that pattern there, right click, and then select layer clone under, and then I'm going to click one right here, and now I'm going to click on there and remove link editing. Now right click, I'm going to select apply symmetric with pattern and sewing, and now this time works. So next I'm going to remove the sewing. Alright, so I want to apply link editing because I only need to work with one half of the pattern, and I'm going to use the transform pattern tool. I'm going to cut this right here, right click and then select cut. So if I look at closely right here, I cut only one side but it affects both, and I will do the same here, right click and then cut. Okay, and now we're going to delete these pattern pieces because we don't need them. We only need the top part, and I'm going to bring them up here. And once again guys, I have this tool. I'm going to expand this a little. I'm going to actually turn on this ruler, and so I can actually create guide here, so I can align the pattern that I want. Let's say I'm going to bring this pattern down here and kind of bring them out a little, Or if I want to have a perfect line with this, I can just create more guy here. Okay, and now I can bring this over here, and guess what, it snapped to this guy. It's so awesome. And right here too, if I want to make it perfect, bring it over here and bring it over here. The same right here, just like that. Now let's say I don't need this guy anymore. I'm going to right click and then select delete all guidelines, and now the pattern are aligned to each other perfectly. Let Command or Control plus letter S to save this pattern first. Okay, so now we are going to sew this facing onto the garment. So I will use the segment sewing tool, sew the top part to the top part, okay, and then the bottom to the bottom part, and be sure the notches are parallel with each other. This one I'm going to use the free sewing tool. Okay, bottom to bottom, and zoom in a little. And right there, and top with top, just like that. And now both patterns are sewn. Next, let's strengthen the pattern before we simulate. And like expand that, and hide the avatar too, and let's simulate the pattern. Okay, there you go. The pattern actually looks pretty awesome. Okay, so now let's look at the fitting a little, okay? I'm going to, we want to check the fitting for this pattern. Simply come over here and then click on this either strain or stretch map here to see the fitting, and let's turn on the avatar. So if we look at the fitting on this garment, so okay guys, let's talk a little bit about fitting. So it depends on your garment. For the example, my garment here is loose fitted, so that means we see a lot of blue area and not so much with red, except right here on the next area, which a little red is okay because that's what I want. I want the neck shape, it kind of stays snug, and everything else kind of loose. That's what I want, okay? And everything fit really well. And if we can also turn this on, we get to actually see right here how much space that we have between this avatar. Look at the garment, the sleeve, and loose fitted. That is perfect, and that's what I want. I want it kind of snug in the hip area, but not the bust, okay? And that's what I want. And let's say I'm happy with the fitting. I'm going to just turn it off, and now get back to my working area. Let's see if I choose me. So I'm going to simply get back to where I'm going to continue working on the garment. So right now I want to apply some top stitches onto this garment before I'm going to change the particle distance and so on. So to apply the top stitches, I can come over here, and then I will use this top stitch tool here. We have many top stitch tool like segment top stitch, free top stitch, or seam line top stitch. We most likely use segment and free top stitches. So segment, once again, is similar to segment sewing. Pretty much exactly the rule apply the same, like one segment, it worked perfect. However though, if you want to sew like a pocket, you would use the free top stitches, okay? Let me hide the avatar here. And I also want to turn this to this 3D. Excuse me. I'm going to turn it onto my 3D, excuse me, my stick texture surface. And then I'm going to apply the top stitches, okay? Let me, okay, come over here. So sometimes if you want to see more detail on to garment, you most likely apply the top stitches onto the area that you want to see. Let's say for example I want to apply like overlock top stitches, so I'm going to give it a try first, okay? And I want to apply it right here so I can see the overlock top stitches on the inside of the garment. And I'm going to, and as you can see right here, since the pattern is symmetry, I only need to do it one. And right here, so I'm going to use the free top stitch and click one right there, and then hover the mouse on here, click one to end. And after that, I'm going to use the, once again, segment top stitches for this hem as well as for the sleeve. Okay. After that, I will come over here and click on the default top stitch in this object browser. Okay. So now we can come down here and customize that top stitches from change the category or the type. For example, I'm going to scroll down here under shape. I want to change that to overlock, okay? So to change the overlock, now looks like right here, looks like we don't see anything. However, I'm going to come down here and we want to change the face to bows. Then we want to change the color to somewhat a little bit darker. Okay, so maybe a little bit too dark for this color. However, no worry, because we can apply the fabric onto the garment. And by the way, I forgot to sew this area here. So we want to sew that use this segment sewing tool. And also some part here. Let's come over here and sew over here. Use the segment sewing tool. I want to sew this area. Also sew the front part. Get the front part. And I'm going to strengthen the pattern before simulate. So right now it must have been twisted. I'm going to remove that sewing first, or command or control plus letter B to untwist the sewing. And now let's simulate once again, and now the sewing is fixed. So if you see the sewing all clunky, usually that's happened. And let's simulate one more time. Okay, now we finished the sewing. It actually is not bad. And guys, let's apply the fabric. Since this is the first draft of the pattern, I'm going to apply muslin fabric onto this, okay? To apply the fabric, I'm going to come over here and then double click on the fabric folder, and I will type in muslin and select any muslin fabrics, fine. Drag it and then drop onto that fabric one there, and I'm going to simulate one more time. Now we apply different fabric property onto the garment. Let me unstrengthen so we get to see. So there it is. And if I looked at right here, see the color still somewhat a little bit dark, and I'm going to change that top stitch. Come over here to this object browser, click on that top stitch. So instead of both, I'm going to only apply for the back and click on that top stitch. Scroll it down, simply click on back. Okay, and after that, as you can see right here, the color, I can simply change it to somewhat a little bit lighter. We want it obvious but not too obvious. So right there, perfect. And that is looks pretty awesome, guys. Let me check in here. So we also want to double check this, how come this doesn't show. So right there, I'm going to simply click on that top stitch, come down here, back. Okay, so we have an issue here because the top stitch here is show and this one doesn't, because the fabric one is sideways, one isn't. So I'm going to change it back to both, and now if I look at the bottom here, you will see the fabric, the top stitch is shown. So right there. Alright, so now a garment look realistic, and we have this perfect overlock top stitches onto the garment. All we need to do here, we're gonna go in and then change the particle distance to allow this pattern look even better. So my key selects all that pattern right there, go to the property editor, and then we want to change that to 10. Now the pattern take effect. Let's strengthen one more time and then simulate, and then stop the simulation, and we want to see the fitting one more time. That's pretty good, pretty awesome. Very good, awesome. All right, so now I'm going to once again unstrengthen this guy, and change the fabric to stick texture, and there it is. I'm going to expand this. All right, so there you go, guys. I actually finished this drafting pattern, and I just want to thank you guys so much for your support and follow me with the passion that I am so excited to share with you guys. And I'm hoping to get better, and I will share with you guys some more pattern making courses. We're using CLO 3D to make the pattern, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day or beautiful morning from around the world. Thank you guys so much for being here. Okay, bye for now, and hope to see you next live session. Bye bye, guys.